You're watching Reality Check. The latest flashpoint in the battle over CAA are opposition-led state governments passing resolutions and going to court against the CAA. Punjab and Kerala have passed resolutions in their assemblies asking for the centre to scrap CAA on grounds that it's not constitutional. Kerala has taken the centre to the Supreme Court, invoking a clause in the constitution which grants jurisdiction to the court to mediate in centre versus state disputes. But will the states taking on a central act stand the legal and constitutional test? A controversy of sorts broke out when Congress leaders said that states may not be in a position to block the CAA since it's a central law. Let's listen, starting with Kapil Sibal, who made his comments at a literary summit in Kerala.
So what is being said is that we will not allow the state level officers to cooperate with the Union of India. That's what is being said.
All right.
Practically, whether that's possible or not, I'm not too sure.
Okay, it's a grey area.
It's a grey area. But constitutionally, it will be difficult for any state government to say that I will not follow a law passed by Parliament.
देखिए वो तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजन है, लेकिन किसी भी असेंबली को ये कहना कि कानून को वापस लो, they do in their own right. But once it is passed by the Parliament, I think that constitutional view is that any state can't say no, should not say no, and can't say no. But this has to be legally examined.
All right, also Jairam Ramesh was amongst those who actually challenged the same question, where he said not so sure of state governments saying that we will not implement CAA will stand judicial scrutiny. This was Jairam Ramesh. He says, I know that Kerala government has passed a resolution, but it is a political resolution. Whether it will stand the test of judicial scrutiny, I'm not 100% sure. Mr. Sibal later on, though, sent out a series of tweets clarifying that he was in no way endorsing the law itself. I spoke to him earlier this evening for a more detailed explanation of what he meant when he spoke in Kerala. Let's listen.
And remember, there were 3 events in Kerala. One was this Lit Festival.
Yes.
The other were interviews with various television channels.
Yes.
And fourth was a public, third was a public meeting where 2.5 lakh people attended.
Right.
And I, in that public meeting, said that the CAA should be thrown into the Arabian Sea.
Okay.
Right? And that 9 lies have been told by this government on the CAA. And that's entirely unconstitutional. So when I said you can oppose it, means in a court of law.
Okay,
right?
so your comments were not validating the CAA as your rivals have made it out to be.
No, why would I validate when I am arguing the case in the Supreme Court seeking the unconstitutionality of this act? Where is the question of saying that it is valid?
You are one of the petitioners in the Supreme Court against the CAA.
The lead matter in the Supreme Court is being argued by me, challenging the CAA. So obviously, you know what happens with the media and what happens with the opposition. They'll take something out of context and start sort of thumping, patting their own back that, see, I've supported them.
Right.
I'm not known to support this government on almost anything.
But what you were saying, Mr. Sibal, just for you to then set the record straight, you were saying that states can pass resolutions against it, they can take it to court.
Yes.
But if the court upholds it,
absolutely,
then they will have to implement it.
What else can anybody do? Can you say, I will not implement the NIA, the legislation on the NIA?
The National Investigating Agency,
right,
which has also been challenged by
not the Right to Education Act. Can anybody say, I will not implement it? Not implemented reservations under the Constitution. Nobody can, no state can say that. But that's when the court says that it's a valid law.
Right.
Our hope is that the court doesn't say that.
Okay, so you're saying in that event,
naturally,
that's what you meant?
Naturally. No, I made it clear.
Sure. But as far as, Mr. Sibal, the legality or the constitutionality of assemblies, assembly after assembly now passing resolutions against the CAA, is that
perfectly valid?
Is that valid?
Perfectly valid. See, an assembly in any state is an autonomous body. It's an autonomous constitutional body. It has the right to pass resolutions. And what does the resolution say? It advises the centre, because the assemblies and the state feel that this is unconstitutional. It has advised the centre to withdraw the CAA.
Yes.
Now the centre may accept that advice, may not accept that advice, but it's perfectly right, perfectly constitutional for the state to pass such a resolution.
Mr. Sibal, there is a question though that while it's true that Congress-led governments are increasingly now going to pass resolutions against the CAA, Punjab has already done so and I believe others are. But many are saying that the real enabling mechanism of the whole CAA NRC process is the National Population Register,
Right.
which begins from April.
Right.
And only 2 states, Kerala and West Bengal, have actually put that on hold.
Right.
Congress-led governments have not. And so there's a question being raised on whether you're really serious about stopping this.
This whole process is going to start in April, right? And the petitions in the Supreme Court are going to be heard much before that. So there is no point for our state governments to do any of this. But I think the state governments will be well advised to advise the centre, don't take forward this process in April. Please postpone it.
Right.
Till
Given
the
that
matter is
adjudication.
pending in Supreme Court, please postpone this process unnecessarily. You're bringing a lot of confusion, and actually there is a national crisis brewing here, and I can see that in the kind of protests that are going on across the country. So I think the union will be well advised to postpone this process till the resolution, till the issue is resolved in Supreme Court.
But Mr. Sibal, you seem somewhat optimistic about the timeline here. You're saying that the matter is, the NPR process is in April and the court will
We are
perhaps
in the
come
beginning
to
of
some kind
We
of...
are in January,
Okay.
and the 9 judges are going to hear the other matter very soon, and that will finish maybe in 30 days' time. And you've got February, you've got March, you've got 1st of April. That's a lot of time. In the meantime, the matter is coming up in Supreme Court on the 22nd.
Right.
Right? And we can move for stay of any process. So all that is available to us. So why at the moment should we take a position when the process is not even started?
Okay. Mr. Sibal, let me ask you this as we start to wrap up, that you have asked for the CAA to be thrown into the Arabian Sea. Now, as we know, the odds of that are highly unlikely.
Why?
Well, they are. So,
I don't think so.
okay. But let me ask you this, that you've been in government. So the chances of 100% or 180-degree rollback might be slim. But if this government was to explore a way out, a kind of face saver in all of this, what would that be? Because the bill has already been passed by both houses of parliament. It's now an act. Could a solution be to perhaps amend a contentious part of it, as some are suggesting?
No.
To remove the religious classification?
It is intrinsically unconstitutional. And I'll tell you why. And I'll explain this in a minute or two to you. Number one, why was this bill brought in Parliament? It's because after the NRC process in Assam, of the 19 lakhs who were excluded from the National Register of Citizens in Assam, several lakhs were Hindus. The BJP could not take a position that we will now leave those Hindus out and put them in detention centers. There are several detention centers in Assam. So they brought this bill. Now what this does is extend it to all of India. Right? Now the basis of extending it to all of India is to take out all those people who are illegal immigrants. But all the people who have come have not sought protection from the state on the basis of persecution, even people in Assam.
Yes.
Because when you say that you have been persecuted,
Yes.
and that's not even part of the legislation.
It isn't, yes.
It's only in the objects and reasons.
Yes.
So when you say you've been persecuted, you must relate it back to the day when you came to India.
Yes.
So if you came to India in 1970, 1980, 1990, unless you have said and gone to the authorities that I've been persecuted,
how do you prove it?
How does Parliament pass a law with respect to the intention of individuals who came to India who have not claimed that they were persecuted?
Right.
What authority does Parliament have to pass a law? And then you say that only Hindus will be given that protection, nobody else.
And
no, but there's a problem there. Citizenship is not based on religion. The Constitution says you will get, in 1950, you will be a citizen if you're born in India. So I may be born a Muslim, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Christian,
Right.
a Sikh. I'll be a citizen. Your parents were born in India. Doesn't matter whether you're Sikh or Hindu.
Right.
Number 3, that you've been residing here for 11 years. Nothing to do with religion. Number 4, that you are registered as a citizen, nothing to do with religion.
Right.
Number 5, that you are in the occupied territories which have been taken over by the government of India, namely Goa, Sikkim, nothing to do with religion. For the first time in the history of India, religion has been made the basis of citizenship.
Right.
It is unthinkable.
Okay, so you're saying there's no way of tweaking this or
There
of
is
amending
no-
it. It's all or nothing.
It's
I mean, this
fundamentally flawed. It's
Okay.
fundamentally unconstitutional.
Okay, well, let's see how the courts finally weigh in on this. But Mr. Sibal, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, joining us tonight on the show, we have with us Chandra Bose, who's the BJP Vice President for West Bengal, Vivek Reddy, of course, leader BJP, lawyer as well on the show, and also Jayana Kothari, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. So first, Vivek, if I can just start with you. So now, you know, Kapil Sibal says, look, all this kind of excitement that the BJP had the whole day that he has scored a self-goal, Congress leaders are speaking against the CAA, he says all that's rubbish. I still feel that the CAA is unconstitutional. It's just that if the courts clear it, then states will have a tough time not implementing it. But the core argument, he says, on which he remains adamant, is that it is unconstitutional.
Well, I think this is sort of a flip-flop by Mr. Kapil Sibal, because he had almost gone out to say that this is an act which has to be implemented and which is constitutional. This is one aspect.
No, he
The
didn't
other
say
thing
that.
is,
Sorry, in all
wherever
fairness to him,
there has been,
he's saying, no, he never said that. In fact, he said that the act should be thrown into the Arabian Sea. We just heard him say it. And he also says that he is in Supreme Court as the lead petitioner against the act. So he's very clear that he's against the act.
well, I think with great respect, yes, with great respect to Mr. Kapil Sibal, let me
Yes.
just clarify, Vasu. First of all, his thinking, his opinion that this act is constitutional, I think there is a fundamental fallacy in this.
Unconstitutional.
He ignores the fact
Yes.
that people who have come from those nations,
Yes.
people who have come from those nations
Yes.
have suffered huge persecution and they have come to India. This is number one. The second is, what is wrong in a nation when people who have suffered this persecution and come to India?
Yeah.
What is wrong in if India grants them the citizenship because they have
No,
no
one
home or
second.
shelter anywhere?
So
They can't
Vivek-
go to Iran. They
Vivek,
can't go to
Vivek,
Iraq. They can't go to other Islamic countries.
Vivek, you,
And
I'm only
Islamic
interrupting you.
persecution in these Islamic countries is a fact. Is
No,
a
no,
reality.
Vivek, I'm only interrupting you. Just a second. Allow me. I'm only interrupting you because at this point, I'm not debating with you the merits of CAA. You and I have debated that on many occasions, as I have on the show. But at the moment, I'm simply trying to focus on this idea of whether you're accusing the Congress of speaking in different tongues. But even with the BJP's own rhetoric on this act, we keep hearing different things. Just 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago, your leader in Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, said that persecution will not be a criteria of this act because you can't prove persecution. So the very fundamental basis of this
Vasu,
act, as you said, is persecution.
It is because
It is part of the objects
yes,
and
that-
reasons
that
of the
is
act.
apparently the reason. Let me come to this
But
question.
Mr. Biswa Sarma is saying
Yes, it is because of that very fact.
you can't prove it.
Yes, Vasu, let me just clarify.
Yes.
You have raised a very good point. It is because of that very fact that it can't be proved that people who have suffered this persecution and come to have crossed the borders and come to India
Yes.
cannot go out and say that who did it, how it happened. Because of that difficulty, the act has given them the shelter. Apparently, because it cannot be proved. That is the problem here. How if suppose we were residents of Pakistan, if something happened there, we were chased away from there, how
Yeah.
would we be able to prove? Because
Well, that's-
it's cross
but
boundary. I can't
but-
get witnesses
But
from
my
there
dear friend,
or
you
evidence
guys-
from there.
but your government
so
has
that's
made
apparently
that
the reason why
No, but
the
Vivek,
act has given the cover.
this is extraordinary. You yourself, your government, you have framed the act saying this is to protect those or this is to grant citizenship to those who've escaped persecution. Now you yourself are saying, hold on, wait a
Yes,
minute,
there
we
is
can't
one
prove,
fallacy.
we can't prove persecution. You can't prove persecution. It's just assumed if you've come from
There is-
Pakistan, Bangladesh
there
or
is one
Afghanistan,
fallacy, yes.
you are persecuted. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there is one fallacy in the thinking of all the people who are critics of this act. whether
Yeah.
they are legal experts,
Yeah.
or whether they are from the media, or whether they are from independent people. There is one fallacy,
Yes.
and they have to understand that fallacy. Unfortunately, none of them are coming to that meeting point. The point is
Yes.
that when people have come from those nations to India, and they have sought rehabilitation in India,
Yeah.
the only question that is to be determined is, Parliament in its wisdom has recognized that this is an area which needs to be redressed. This is a huge problem.
Okay,
Where
that is
these
not.
people who have come from these nations are homeless.
That
That
is
wisdom of Parliament, this is the fallacy.
No, this
that
is-
wisdom of Parliament,
wisdom of
in
Parliament-
identifying a uniform
Yeah,
group.
but the wisdom of
who have
Parliament,
suffered,
once again, when you say
that
wisdom
cannot
of
be
Parliament,
questioned.
your own act in its statements of objects and reasons says persecution. And now you're saying persecution is unprovable. Okay, but the other counter view, Chandra Bose joining us.
Obvious reasons.
The other counter view again within the BJP, Chandra Bose. Now, you said, and I'm not sure if you still are going to stand by what you said, but you said that basically there is a problem with the CAA. You have to remove the religious part of it. Am I right? You said just make it open for all. Okay, let's, before we come to you, Chandra Bose, let's actually
Absolutely.
listen
You
to
see,
what it is
we-
you said. Let us listen to your quote first, and then I'll come to you.
What I have suggested to my party leadership, that with a little modification and a little amendment to the CAA, the entire opposition campaign would fizzle out. We need to specifically state that it is meant for persecuted minorities. We should not mention any religion because it is not based on religion, as clarified by the Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji.
So, Chandra Bose, you stand by that? Remove the religious distinction?
Yes, of course. You see, it's not a question that I stand by it. Mahatma Gandhi stands by it. If you look into the document of September 1947, Mahatma Gandhi had stated that persecuted persons, there was no mention of any religion. Persecuted persons in Pakistan, West or East Pakistan, if they decide to take India as their country, as their nation, they should be allowed to settle down in India. This is what Mahatma Gandhi has stated. I have a little knowledge of history, and I quote from that. So I think our Honorable Home Minister, Amit
Yes.
Shah ji, has already clarified that
Yes.
it embraces all religion, people who have been persecuted in our neighboring countries.
Right.
So I think there is no question of any confusion. You see, what we should do is,
No,
we
that's
should
not-
highlight the positive side of the CAA. Unfortunately, it has got submerged into criticism by the opposition.
Because
we
Chandra
should tell
Bose-
them that
No, no, but
this is to
Chandra Bose-
facilitate. You see, we already
Chandra Bose,
have an
Chandra
act.
Bose.
Let me finish, please.
No, once again.
We already have an act in place.
Yes.
Yes.
When you say that when you say all religions, that's not true,
This
right?
is
The
a
reason
fast
why,
track.
hold on, let me finish.
This is the fast
hold on, hold
track
on, hold on, hold
to
on, hold on,
give
hold on, hold on, hold on.
Citizenship
Hold on, just a second,
to
Chandra
people who are
Bose.
persecuted.
Chandra Bose, hold on. The reason why there is a challenge to this is because it doesn't say all religions. It spells out 6 religions and leaves out Muslims. That's why there's a problem. You are saying remove that, make it everybody. Right? You're saying make it everyone and the protests will go away.
Exactly. Exactly. That is my submission. That is
Okay.
my submission.
Okay,
That is
let
my
me-
submission
before I
to
come
the
to Jayana
Honorable Prime
Kothari-
Minister of India.
Okay.
Because I feel Narendra Modi ji is an inclusive person.
Okay, before I come to Jayana Kothari, Vivek Reddy, there you go. You have your own party colleague saying, make it all religions, problem goes away. Why not do that? All
Well, that is
persecuted
his
minorities.
opinion, but the Parliament had, yes, Parliament has in contemplation, we have to find out the statement of objects and reasons. we have to find out what was the intention of the parliament. See, that is critical here. The intention of the parliament is well explained in the statement of objects and reasons. It says, I think Mr. Bose could read it also. It says very clearly, he must have read it, it says very clearly that those nations from where these people migrated
Yes.
were Islamic nations. They were nations of one religion. And therefore,
we've all read it.
non-Muslims who
We've all
migrated
read-
from those nations was because of religious persecution.
We've all read the statements
Yes,
and
you all
objects
read
and
it. So
reasons.
that's the intention of the parliament.
But that's
the
not a-
intention of the parliament, isn't it obvious? Now you are asking,
It's not
bring in
obvious to
Muslims into
anybody.
this, but they have not been persecuted there.
It's-
Have Muslims
it's-
been persecuted there?
It is
Mr.
not-
Vasu, please
it-
tell us.
it is
they
not-
have not been persecuted.
Of course
this
they.
is,
No,
this
no,
is
of course.
due to a problem.
Oh my
that
gosh!
was
Of
created
course
due
they are
to the division
persecuted.
of India.
But we're not getting into the merits of the bill here. We're not getting into the merits of the act. It's just simply on the point that you have now people even within the BJP saying, "Listen, do not discriminate." Anyway,
No, if you
let me
ask
just
why
let me
Muslims
just go to
were not
Jaina Kothari.
included,
Okay,
the
Jaina
basic
Kothari.
reason is
Okay,
they
just
did not
a second,
face
Vivek.
persecution.
Okay, let me go to Jaina Kothari. She's not had a chance to speak the whole time. Jaina Kothari, do you think that it's still possible for the government to try to walk back on this partially, or as Kapil Sibal seems to suggest, that it's just too deeply discriminatory? You can't amend it. You just have to scrap it.
I would. I don't think. I think we have to wait for the court's decision on it.
Right.
And I don't think you can just amend a law just like that. The law has been enacted, and we have to await the verdict of the Supreme Court on the constitutionality. And I think to debate now and whatever affirmations are given by Chandra Bose that yes, we'll amend it and make it all religions. Well, if that was the intention, then it wouldn't be in the manner in which it is right now.
Right. I mean, Chandra Bose is...
And so I think we have to now
Right. So Chandra Bose, just to be clear, is making that as making a suggestion. He's making a suggestion saying that this is something that the BJP should consider. I mean, personally, I feel that's highly unlikely because the very nature of the bill, the act itself, is precisely to create that distinction.
Yeah.
That, in my view, deeply discriminatory distinction. So,
Yes.
so if you take that away, then it's not the CAA in the way that it was intended to be.
And it's a gloss. Yeah, exactly. It's a gloss to say that it covers all religions when it does not, when it clearly does not. So maybe Mr. Chandra Bose is a lone voice to say that. But that's not the stand of the government, that they have
Nobody
any
says
intention
it
to
should
amend
cover
the
all
law.
religions.
And I think there are already several.
Okay.
Well, that's the challenge to the constitutionality then.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chandra Bose, are you a sort
Vasu,
of...
can I just come in?
Yeah, just a second, Vivek. Chandra Bose, are you a sort of voice in the wilderness here? I mean, realistically, you think the BJP will actually do what you're suggesting? Open it up, make it all religions?
Well, I have my principles and ideology. It is a suggestion that I have submitted to the party leadership. I feel this could resolve the issue. There is fire across the nation. In order to resolve the issue, I think this is one way, one approach. Whether it was permissible by the Constitution, that has to be looked into. I am not a lawyer, but I have common sense. Well, it is in the Supreme Court. Let us wait for the Supreme Court verdict. But I feel we need to have a relook at the CAA as it is, because this is to facilitate people's citizenship. This is not to create an uproar in the nation.
Okay.
We need peace. We need peace. We need everybody to support the CAA.
Vasu.
The state governments, they should support it. This is basically a facility which we are extending to the citizens or to be citizens of our nation.
I
Vasu.
have literally, Vivek, we have,
Vasu,
I think we have literally, how much time we have? I think we have literally 10 seconds, Vivek.
30 seconds, just 30 seconds.
10, Vivek,
Yeah,
go for
just
it.
30, yes. Vasu,
10.
the
Go for
only
it.
distinction.
Yes.
Yes, Vasu, the only distinction.
Yes.
I'd like to tell both Jaina and Mr. Chandra Bose.
Yes.
The only distinction is between those who have been thrown out because of their religion and those who have not been thrown out because of their religion. That's the only distinction.
Okay.
It's a uniform set of people. Everybody in that subset have been granted relief in India. India is the promised land for them, and they have been granted. There is nothing wrong in this.
Vivek,
Please understand the distinction
I will
between
debate
thrown
you.
out.
I will debate you on that in much greater detail on another occasion. But for the moment, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Jaina Kothari, Vivek Reddy, Chandra Bose for joining us on the show. That's it for now. Good night.